What up guys, it's Baldur here, all the way from Iceland. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the biggest steal in NBA history. And it might be the biggest steal in American sports history. And this steal didn't happen on a basketball court. Just so we get that straight, it was the settlement between the Silna brothers and the NBA in 1976, in which the Silna brothers made millions off of the NBA. But how? Let's check it out. The brothers Daniel and Ozzie Silna, American businessmen from the textile industry. They had dreams of owning a team in the NBA. They began their pursuit in 1973 when they tried to buy the Detroit Pistons, but they were unsuccessful in their pursuit. So they looked at other options. They looked to the ABA. In the ABA, they were able to buy the Carolina Cougars in 1974. They knew that the ABA was in a bad state and that a merger with the NBA was inevitable. They decided to move the team to St. Louis, where the Cougars became the Spirits of St. Louis. The reasoning for the move was that St. Louis was the biggest US city at the time that didn't have a professional basketball team. With that, the Silnas hoped their chances of owning a team in the NBA would increase by moving the team to a better market. In 1976, the inevitable merger with the NBA was a reality. During the 75-76 ABA season, 7 of the 10 ABA teams were able to finish off the season. The others had to fold because of financial reasons. In the NBA merger, the NBA decided to take 4 teams from the ABA to the NBA. And they were the New York Nets, Indiana Pacers, San Antonio Spurs, and the Denver Nuggets. The 3 teams that were left out were the Virginia Squares, who folded a month before the merger, then the Kentucky Colonels, who were bought out of the league for $3 million. The NBA tried to do the same for the Spirits of St. Louis, the team that the Silna brothers owned. The Silnas were very unhappy about not being included in the NBA merger. After all, they had moved the team from Carolina to a bigger market for the purpose of increasing their chances of getting to the NBA. The Silnas had intense meetings with the NBA, as they badly wanted to be a part of the NBA. Seeing that they were not going to make it, they had to settle with the NBA. Here's the deal that they got. The NBA bought out the Spirits of St. Louis, paying the Silnas $2.2 million. But the Silnas, they wanted more. They demanded a part of the television revenue that the other 4 ABA teams would get in the NBA. The NBA didn't think it would be that big of a deal at that time. So, the NBA granted the Silnas' wish, with 1/7 of each of the other 4 ABA teams' television revenue, for a total of 4/7. In other words, 57% of what the other ABA teams were about to make in the NBA out of TV deals. Looking back, what was so crazy about that deal? It was the expiration date, and there was none. The legal document said, for perpetuity, which basically means the deal would last forever. Unless of course the NBA itself would fold, which it obviously did not do. The NBA in the 70s was not in a great place. The league had a big cocaine problem. The attendance at NBA games was going down, along with the interest from TV stations. The NBA at that time didn't envision the growth of the NBA and the TV deals that they would receive down the line in the 90s and going on today. Just to put it into context, all the way into the 80s, the NBA Finals was shown tape delayed, often after the 11 o'clock news at night. That's how little respect the NBA was getting from TV stations. The NBA didn't think the Silnas' request of 4/7 of the ABA team's television revenue was that big of a deal. But boy were they wrong. The NBA started to rise in the 80s with the rivalry of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. To Michael Jordan into the 90s, the NBA has over time expanded globally, from showing NBA games in 2 countries in 1984 to showing NBA games in 215 countries in 2013, where the annual national TV deal in the NBA jumped from $28.5 million in 1984 to almost $1 billion in 2013. Why am I using 1984? Because I simply couldn't find the info on the TV revenue in 1976. So the TV revenue was probably a lot less than $28.5 million, like it was 8 years later in '84. The Silnas were not getting paid a lot shortly after the settlement in 1976. In 1987 was the first year where they made over $1 million in a year. In 1999-2000, they were making $10 million annually. And in 2011, they were making $17.5 million annually from the NBA. From 1976, when they made the deal, up until 2014, they had made close to $300 million from the NBA. The Silnas must have been laughing like this, getting paid from the NBA. $300 million without having a single team in the NBA, only by owning an ABA team for 2 years in a league that was slowly dying. And that ABA team was obviously not remotely close to being worth those $300 million. In 2014, the NBA finally reached a settlement with the Silnas. After multiple failed attempts to settle, the Silnas reached an agreement with the NBA where they were bought out for $500 million. All in all, the Silnas got around $800 million from the NBA. And if you count in inflation, the real value might be over $1 billion. But why did the Silnas settle in 2014? Among many reasons, one of the biggest was because of the Silna brothers' age. Ozzie was 81 and Daniel 69. They wanted to ensure that their children and grandchildren would benefit from their deal. 2 years later, in 2016, Ozzie Silna unfortunately died of cancer. Even though they never owned a team in the league, the Silna brothers will always be a part of NBA history and the history of business, with the greatest steal and sports settlement the NBA and American sports have ever seen. That's it for now. Like and subscribe, and if you haven't checked out my latest video, I talked about what if LeBron had never left Cleveland in 2010. Check it out. Peace.